A few years ago, there was a wealthy couple who had two young children, a guy and a girl. The family lived in a large house in Newport Beach, California. After taking care of their kids all week, the mother and father decided that they needed a break, so they booked a table for dinner at a nice restaurant. That evening, they called a teenage girl they knew and arranged for her to come over and babysit their children while they were out. When the babysitter arrived, the parents told her to fix supper for the kids and put them to bed. After that, you can just watch TV and help yourself to anything in the fridge, said the father. And if you wouldn't mind, said the mother, could you watch TV in our bedroom? The kids have been having nightmares recently, so if you hear them crying, you can just go in and calm them down. The babysitter happily agreed and the parents left for their dinner date. The girl gave the children some milk and cookies, then ushered them upstairs to bed. She started to read them a bedtime story and, before long, the little boy and girl were fast asleep. After tucking them in, she switched off the lights and went to watch TV. When the babysitter walked into the parents' bedroom and sat down, she noticed that there was a creepy-looking clown statue standing in the corner of the room. She tried to ignore it, but it looked so eerie and disturbing that it sent a chill down her spine. She felt as though its eyes were staring straight at her while she watched TV. As time passed, the babysitter started to feel more and more uneasy about the clown statue. Whenever she glanced at it, she got the unsettling feeling that it had moved, ever so slightly. Finally, the clown statue began to freak her out so much that she couldn't handle it any longer. She decided to go downstairs and phone the parents. When she dialed the number they had left for her, the mother answered. "Hi, it's me," said the babysitter. "Everything's fine. The kids are fast asleep in bed, but I was just wondering, would be okay if I watch TV downstairs?" "Of course," replied the father. "But why? I know it sounds silly," laughed the girl, "but the clown statue is really creeping me out." "The clown statue?" asked the father. "Yeah, the clown statue in your bedroom," the girl replied. The phone went silent for a moment. "Listen to me very carefully," said the father. "Take the children and get out of the house. We will call the police. Go. Now." "What's wrong?" asked the girl. The father gulped and replied, "We don't have a clown statue." For a second, the babysitter just stood there, stunned. Then, she dropped the phone and raced upstairs and grabbed the children. Carrying one under each arm, she raced downstairs again and fled out into the street. Huddled on the sidewalk, comforting the two children, the babysitter looked up at the bedroom window and saw something that made her scream out, and peeking through a gap in the curtains was the white, painted face of a clown. It stared at her for a moment, then sank back into the darkness. Within minutes, the police arrived and cautiously entered the house. In the upstairs bedroom, they found a man dressed in a clown suit. When they arrested him, they found a knife concealed in his costume. The clown turned out to be a mentally disturbed midget who was a convicted murderer and cold-blooded killer. The evil man had been stalking the family for months, lurking in their attic during the daytime and coming out to sneak around the house at night. For weeks, the children had been complaining about a clown statue that stood in their room and watched them sleep, but the parents just dismissed this as nightmares. I've never lived in a haunted house, but my mother did as a teen. Other houses on her street had strange things going on too. A few homes away from her lived a family. One night, the daughter went to bed with a bad headache. The next day, she was dead from an aneurysm. After her funeral, the family went away to get their minds off the tragedy, and the father asked my uncle to check on their pets. My mom and dad, who were dating at the time, went with him. My mother had heard there was a grand piano, and she wanted to play it. My dad was studying to be a veterinarian at the time, so he spent time with the animals. After entering the house, my uncle and my father headed to the basement to see them, and my mother went to the piano on the ground floor. She was playing it when she felt something brush her ankles. She thought a cat must have left the basement and walked past her. She kept playing, and then she felt it again. She looked under the piano and saw nothing. When she started again, she felt hands clasp her legs tightly. She dashed to the basement door, called my uncle and father, and waited for them. Back outside, my uncle could tell my mom was rattled and asked what was wrong. She told him what had happened, and he turned white. He told her the daughter, who had died, used to play a game with her father. When he played the piano, she'd crawl underneath, grab his ankles, and push his feet up and down on the pedals. My mom was traumatized, and she never went near that house ever again. Even the family moved eventually. My grandma was a very interesting person. She used to tell the most intriguing and scariest stories and talk about topics that really opened my eyes, even as a kid. But over time she had gotten really sick and we were concerned. So every day a member of the family would go and stay with her in her house, which was fortunately one block away from my house when it was my turn to stay with her one day. When I walked in, it seemed as if she was scared of something, which wasn't really weird since it was always a thing. I shrugged it off and went to sit down with her in the living room. We sat for about 5 minutes. When she finally spoke, she started reminding me of a story that she told me when I was younger, about a ghost of a boy who invaded people's houses and lived in their basements and terrorized them, because apparently he was run over by a car when he ran away from his abusive home, and the basement was his go-to place to hide. That story made me absolutely horrified as a child, but when she brought it up again, I wasn't as interested anymore. About an hour went by, and she was asleep now when she suddenly started talking in her sleep. "Go away. I don't have anything, please don't hurt me." She kept saying that over and over. I felt really bad, so I decided to wake her up. When she woke up, she looked like she saw a ghost, and she told me, "Please help me, I'm so scared. He's here." "Who is here?" I kept asking, but she calmed down, and I didn't think too much of it, but I kept having some random thoughts here and there. It was now nighttime, and I already made her dinner, and now it was her bedtime. I put her to sleep, and I was walking out of the house, but I wanted to make sure she was safe, so I decided to check if anyone in the house, just to make sure. I was getting to the basement, which was the last place I was gonna check, but I had an uneasy feeling about it. I thought I heard some noises, but I shrugged it off. I opened the door slowly and I turned on the lamp, but it only flickered. I turned on my phone's torch and went down the stairs. I pointed my light at a corner and I froze when I saw a short figure running across the room and the basement door closed. I was so horrified that even going up the stairs felt like climbing a mountain. I hardly made it up there, but the door wasn't locked. I ran out of the house and told my parents about it, but no one believed me. But I still refused to go back there ever again.